According to a poll we recently did on our channel, most of you guys are below diamond and you want to be climbing to diamond as a result. So today we're going to be covering the 10 things you need to be doing if you want to climb to diamond as fast as possible. Follow these 10 tips every single time you play and I guarantee you will be diamond in no time. Make sure to smash that like button and get your GameLeap premium sub. This will give you access to all of the content on our website where we're doing up to 5 new videos every single day. We've got courses both on the 5 fundamental roles as well as champion specific courses. So if that is something that interests you, then make sure to check it out using the link in the description below. Now without further ado, let's get right into those tips. And the number 1 tip that I can recommend to you is do not play while you're tilted. Remember that tilt is a temporary emotional state of distress. Trust me, I know how it feels to want to play another game because you can't end on a loss, or, well, I'm down in LP, so now I gotta make it up. But do not allow these fallacies to take hold of you. If you're tilted and you're not having fun, it's okay to take a break. Just take a breather, allow time to do its thing, and come back to the game when you're done being tilted. After each loss, or even a rough win, ask yourself, am I tilted? Do I need to take a step back? Do I need to take a deep breath? And if the answer is yes, then just take a 20-minute break, do something else, and then come back and play League once you're feeling good again. Tip number 2 is do not try new things in ranked. All right, so you're browsing Reddit and you saw somebody get a pentakill on APZ. What do? Well, you try out APZ. Well, he got a pentakill on it. It's gotta be good, right? Turns out this guy was probably smurfing in a low-level normal game, and he got a pentakill because it was a low-level normal game and he's a challenger smurf. If you've never played this before, then you don't know the power spikes, you don't know how to play the pick, so you should be playing it in normals instead. Now this applies to absolutely everything, not just troll picks like APZ, right? Now I know a lot of you are probably thinking, but I never try new things in ranked. And I know that for the entire player base, this is just not true. The reason why I know this is because I will go into ranked games after new champion releases and reworks, and the day that the champion is released or reworked, people will be playing it in ranked. Now, unless you played 100 games of this on PBE, you probably do not have experience on this champion, so you should not be playing it in ranked. I know it's really hard to get these champions in normal games after they are released, but that does not give you an excuse to go into ranked to try and get them. Stick to what you know and you're going to have a lot better chance of winning the game. If you're a player that can go to their op.gg, click on the Champions tab and scroll all the way to the bottom and see a bunch of really low win rates on champions with a very small amount of games played, then this applies to you. You can go ahead and do that right now. You might not think it applies to you, but if you go to your OPGG, you look at these and you can count the number of losses that you have over wins, suddenly you might see just how impactful it is. Every time that you have a loss over a win on those champions, you're losing some LP. Stick with what you know, and if for whatever reason you can't play what you know, just dodge. Tip number 3 is you need to make sure that you are reviewing your VODs and you want to make an effort to understand your mistakes. There are 2 parts to this. First of all, you want to make sure that you're reviewing your VODs because this allows you to see the game from a neutral standpoint. You get to see the enemy's vision, you get to see your vision, you can see how the allies on your team played the game, and you can see what you should be doing as a result. Remember that hindsight is 20/20, so you get to see exactly what you should have done in any given scenario during the game that you just played. This way, when you run into the same scenario in a game that's upcoming or that you're currently playing in, then you will already know what you should do in that scenario. I swear, reviewing your own VODs is the most OP thing in the entire game. You can review the VOD, see what you did wrong, and then next time you play against it, you won't mess up. If you do this over and over and over again, you improve so quickly. Most people hate reviewing their own VODs, but as a player that has so little time to play anymore because I'm constantly making videos or doing other things, it's something that allows me to continue to play at such a high level. On average, I play 1 game a day and I can maintain a challenger level of playing. I'm also learning new champions while doing this. This is because I review VODs, usually not even my own at this point, and see what people are doing. So when I go into that game, that one game a day that I average, I can play and know what's going on in the meta, and I can know how to react to certain scenarios without actually having played it myself. If you want to go this extra step above and beyond where you review other people's VODs to learn from them, then you can definitely do that as well. But at the very least, you should be reviewing your own VODs so you can see your mistakes and fix your mistakes. Now, you might realize that I'm putting emphasis on your mistakes here a lot, and that's because a lot of players will go into the VOD and then they'll just watch their teammates and point out, oh, my bot lane inted here and that's why I lost. It doesn't matter. Why would you review what your bot lane did in that game? Does that affect you? Can you change what your bot lane does? No, you can't, so that's not going to help you climb. It might be frustrating that your bot lane fed or that your top laner fed or jungle didn't gank, but guess what? You can't change that. You only can change the things that you did, so that's what you should focus on. VOD reviewing is probably the most important thing for improvement and maintaining your ability to play if you already can play at a high level. For tip number 4, you want to make sure that you're ready to play the game when the game starts. Now this might sound ridiculous to some people, but there are so many games where I will get into the game and somebody will just walk to their tower and AFK. Don't do this. The instant you load into the game has started, so you should be playing the game. Don't get into load screen and then walk off to do something that you need to do. Just take care of it before queuing. This is something that might take 2 or 3 minutes, but can completely save your early game from disastrous things. If you're not willing to take 2 minutes out of your day to improve your league games, then I don't know what to tell you. Stemming off of this, make sure you turn off all distractions. Don't AFK under your tier 1 tower while minions are walking to lane to type to your favorite Twitch streamer. It's okay, you can mute Twitch, turn that anime off, make sure if music is distracting to you, you pause it, or if you need it to help you focus, turn it on. What's that? Somebody messaged you on Discord? Ignore them. LP is more important. Who needs a social life when you can get Challenger? All jokes put aside, try playing without distractions for a week or so and just see how well you play. There are some people who are really good at multitasking, and then there are people like me who just cannot do it. I get messaged by somebody, I go to respond, and I die. It happens every time. I just can't do it. I play on Do Not Disturb, I exit out of any streams that I'm watching, I make sure I don't have any YouTube VODs going on in the background. Sometimes I'll play with music, but I play a lot better without it on. I make sure I'm not sitting in Discord calls with my friends. I make sure that I am completely focused on the game. I don't look to do other things. I'm not ordering food and waiting for it while I'm in my league game, right? I want to be as focused on the game as possible while I'm playing. Now, moving on to tip number 5, play a warm-up game. There are so many people who will just start off their day with a ranked game and they lose the ranked game like 60 to 70% of the time. Now, it's okay to start the day on a loss, that's completely fine, but if you know that you're more likely to lose your first game, then play a warm-up game. You can just queue for a normal or an ARAM, or if you don't feel like playing any modes aside from ranked, you can just sit in a practice tool for the first 10 minutes, warm up, get your fingers warm, make sure your CSing is on point, and then go into a ranked game afterwards. This one is a little bit more of a time investment than the other ones, but it gives you a lot better chance of winning that first game. This could potentially stop you from going on a tilt spree, it can give you more wins initially, it could start you on a winning streak. Playing a warm-up game is very important for a lot of people. In fact, a lot of pro players, before they play on stage, will warm up in practice tool for 10 to 20 minutes before going on stage to play. Warming up is a very important part of just playing the game if you want to be able to play the game at your fullest. Next up, you want to look up your teammates and dodge if you have to. If you've got a jungler and they're auto-filled to ADC, never having played ADC in their life, and they lock in Draven, you should probably dodge. Check to see how many players on your team are auto-filled. If the number is too high, sometimes it's just better to dodge. I know it sucks, but you don't want to take chances on something that looks like it's a guaranteed loss. Likewise, if you're auto-filled to support and you've never played support in your life, it's okay, you can just dodge, take the 3 LP penalty, wait 5 minutes, and queue again. Why take minus 15 and 30 minutes of wasted time when you could just take 3 LP in 5 minutes? Next, you want to make sure you keep your champion pool as small as possible. Listen up, the vast majority of Diamond players are one-tricks. If they are not one-tricks, their champion pool consists of 2 to 3 champions, and this is completely fine, there's no problem with this. If you want to hit Diamond, you need to keep your champion pool small. It's so much harder to play and get really good at the game when you're playing every champion under the sun as opposed to 2 or 3 champions that you can just master. You do not need to be able to play everything in order to get to Diamond. In fact, you can just play one champion and be good enough at that one champion to get you to Diamond. That's completely acceptable. Now, I know that one-tricking is boring to some people, but what I don't want to see is you're OPGG and you've played 60 different champions this season. This serves absolutely no point. Like, if you want to play a bunch of different champions, then feel free to do that in normals, but it doesn't make sense to do this in ranked. For most players, there's no way that you can play 60 champions at the peak level that you can play at. If you can do that, well, congratulations. I guess you're just very multi-talented. But the reality of the situation is you're going to be a lot better at some champions than others, and if you want to win more, you should play those champions. It's okay if you feel like playing other champions, just don't do it in ranked. For example, I love playing Thresh. Am I good enough to play Thresh in ranked? Hell no. I don't play Thresh in ranked, I only play him in normals. If for some reason I feel like playing Thresh for the whole day, well, I'm going to do that in normals. I'm not going to do that in ranked. I'm going to stick to Renekton, I'm going to stick to Kassadin, Galio, Elise. I'm just not going to play champions that I can't play well in ranked. This also goes for your roles. You want to just queue for your primary role in ranked. If you feel like playing AD for the day and you're a top lane main, that's fine. You can play AD in normals. For tip number 9, we've got a really important role for playing the game and going forward from where you are at this current point. This rule is that you want to play champions that you can master mechanically. Now, if you are a player that just is not mechanically talented, say you're a boomer when it comes to mechanics, that's okay. There are plenty of players that just cannot play the game mechanically impressively. That's fine. It's not a problem. There are champions that don't require mechanical ability to play, like Garen, for example. When I'm feeling especially slow mechanically for a day, I'll just play Garen. That's fine. But if you are a player that does struggle mechanically, then you should focus on champions that you can master mechanically. This doesn't mean that every Garen main just sucks at the game mechanically. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I am saying is if you can't play Riven mechanically, then you should not be a Riven main. That's right, I'm looking at you, Riven and Yasuo mains. You might enjoy the champion, but if you want to improve and you're not seeing success on Yasuo and Riven, maybe it's time to switch it up. For example, for the longest time, I could not play Elise mechanically. I just couldn't get it through my head. There was a mental block of some sort, and I could not do it. This champion was completely impossible for me to understand, so for 2 or 3 years, I just did not play this champion, even though I enjoyed her so much. One day, I guess it just clicked and the mental block was gone and I was able to play Elise and succeed with her and do things mechanically that I just hadn't been able to do before. But for the longest time, I couldn't play the champion, so I didn't play it in ranked. The most important thing is you want to make sure that you're able to master this champion mechanically so you can continue to see improvement upon it. If you know that you've been a player that's been mechanically weak in the past, then you should not be maining champions like Cassiopeia, like Riven, like Yasuo, that require a lot of mechanical attention. You want to play stuff like Garen, Nasus, Annie, Warwick. This kind of stuff is going to be very easy for you to master mechanically. That way you can focus on other things in the game. You want it to feel like second nature playing this champion. You don't want to be constantly thinking about what you're going to do with your abilities. You want to be able to just do it. If you're a player that constantly finds that they're focused on their comboing and their abilities rather than how the game is playing out, maybe it's time to take things down a notch and play a more mechanically simple champion. Play a few games of Garen and see if you're allowed to focus on the game and the map rather than your mechanics. Obviously, this is a very extreme example, and you can work your way up from Garen. If Garen is not too mechanically demanding, you can play something a little bit harder, then a little bit harder and harder until you reach your limits. This allows you to still develop your mechanical ability in normals or elsewhere while you are still seeing improvement at the game. It is completely okay. You can revisit the other champions that you want to main later on when you've developed your mechanics to a point where you can handle those champions. Maybe one day it will eventually click for you and you can play those champions like it's second nature. It's just muscle memory. You don't have to think about their abilities and their combos. If this happens, feel free to take them back into ranked and you'll be able to see tons of success with them. But until that point happens, those champions are going to be more of a limiting factor to you rather than what's pushing you forward. Finally, you gotta allow time to do its job. Improvement does not happen overnight. You can't just take the list of things that I gave you, apply them, and see instant improvement tomorrow. It's gonna take some time. It might take weeks, it might take months, it might take years, but you gotta stick with it and continue to apply these things to your gameplay. Don't just try things and then see, oh, well, I didn't win the very next game. These clearly don't work. Give it some time, give it a week, 2 weeks, 100, 200 games where you apply these and then see if this works for you. These are the tips that I've given countless players and I've seen them improve to Diamond, and I've seen others improve way past Diamond, all the way to Master and Grandmaster simply by following these rules. Some people see improvement faster than others. This is just the harsh reality of life. The best thing that you can do for yourself is stay disciplined. Stick to these rules for as long as you can, for as many games as possible, and you will eventually see improvement, I guarantee it. If you've been enjoying our videos recently and you want to see more of our content, then you can make sure to check out our website, GameLeap.com. Over there, we've got hundreds of guides, all done by challenger players, sorted into a quick and easy to use courses system. We've got courses both on the 5 fundamental roles as well as champion specific courses, so if that is something that interests you, then make sure to check us out using the link in the description below. As always, I'm Panther. I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next one.